Welcome to day 4. Here is a complex starter problem. So work through this, pause the video, work through it, see if you get an answer, then unpause it and see how you did. All right, so this is a super complicated version of a problem. My goal is to get x in the middle. So I have a bunch of distribution and multiplication stuff I got to deal with first. So 2/3 times 6x, well, that's going to be 4x. Plus 3. I get 4x because I could say 2 times 6 is 12 divided by 3 is 4. Or I could do 6 divided by 3 is 2 times 2 is 4, and so on. When I distribute that 5 halves, that's going to give me 10x minus, instead of 5 times 6 is 30 divided by 2 is 15. I could have done 6 divided by 2 is 3 times 5 is 15. There's a negative involved. 1/5 of 20x is 4x. Plus 9. I have to do the same thing to all 3 sides. I want to get x in the middle, so I want to get rid of this 4x from everywhere. So I've got 3 is less than 6x minus 15 less than or equal to 9. That kind of cleared things up quite a bit. Now I add 15 to all 3 sides. That gives me 18 is less than 6x less than or equal to 24. Now I divide everything by 6, and to keep off my number line a little bit, I'm going to write it over here. 18 divided by 6 is 3, less than x, less than 4. So I've got a number line. It's a really big number line. Don't need that many numbers. I've got a 3, and I've got a 4, and right between there is a 3.5. At 3, I have an open circle. At 4, I have an open circle, but only because I lost this or equal to. So that should be filling in that 4. Make sure our signs match up with what they're supposed to be. Since x is between these two, I connect everything between those 2 dots. All right, so today we are going to be doing word problems. We've done some word problems already, but now we're going to make sure we're writing things out and figuring out exactly what we have to do. So for this first one, Debbie has $60 to spend on clothes. She wants to buy a pair of jeans for $22 and spend the rest of her money on t-shirts. Each t-shirt costs $8. Write and solve an inequality to show how many t-shirts Debbie can buy. So I want to figure out how many t-shirts she can buy, which means I need a variable to represent number of t-shirts. I know that she has $60. So I'm going to start with $60. I know that she can spend all 60, but she does not have to. So $60 should be the most that she spends. So 60 is greater than or equal to the money that she does spend, which was $22 on jeans plus $8 for every t-shirt. Equivalently, you could have written 22 plus 8t is less than or equal to 60. These are equivalent. Some people think the first one makes more logical sense. Some people think the second one makes more logical sense. They're the same thing. So use whichever one is easier for you to understand. Is 60 the most that she can spend, or can she spend anything less than 60? But both of these she also can spend, 60. I'm going to solve just this blue one. You'll get the same answer if you solve this black one. So I'm going to subtract 22 from both sides. That's going to give us 38 is greater than or equal to 8t. Divide both sides by 8. Now t is less than or equal to, if I do 38 divided by 8, that's 4.75. I don't know of anywhere that you can buy a partial t-shirt and have it be called a partial t-shirt. So if I would have done it over here, I would have got this like that. So she cannot buy a full 5th t-shirt, which means Debbie can buy no more than 4 t-shirts. She can buy 0, she can buy 1, 2, 3, or 4. She cannot buy a 5th. I do not want to see she can buy 4.75 t-shirts. The variable solved became 4.75, but the context of the question, that does not make any sense. So make sure your answer is something that does make sense. For the next one, Alex sells books online. He makes a profit of $2 per book. but he needs to pay $4 per day to PayPal for using the app on his website. How many books does he need to sell to make at least $120 each day? I'm asking how many books he needs to sell. So I'm going to say X, number of books sold. All right. So if I'm asking for the number of books sold, I want to make at least $120, meaning I want to make $120 or more. So if I do 120 on this side, I'm going to have 120 is less than or equal to. Then he makes $2 profit for every one book that he sells. So the 2 goes with the X. But he pays, so he doesn't make, he loses $4 to PayPal. So here's my inequality. Equivalently, you could have had 2x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 120 to make at least $120. I'm going to solve this first one. 124 is less than or equal to 2x. If I divide both sides by 2, that's going to give me 62 is less than or equal to x. Alex needs to sell at least 62 books per day. He can sell more. Absolutely, he can sell more, and then he'll make more than $120, but he needs to sell 62 to make exactly $120. If this question said how many books does he need to sell to make more than $120 each day, this work would all be the same, except for this would no longer be an or equal to. It would just be 120 is less than. And you'd get x is greater than 62, or 62 is less than x. But if that was the case, he would need to sell more than 62 books, or at least 63, because you can only sell full books. You don't get to sell partial books. Next one. Cara is making a beaded necklace for a gift. She wants to spend between $20 and $30 on the necklace. The bead store sells large beads for $2.50 and small beads for $1.25. If she buys 3 large beads, how many small beads can she buy to stay within her budget? How many small beads? So I need a variable. I'll use y this time, which is the number of small beads. We are spending between $20 and $30. We are strictly between. We are not equaling. So when we say between, that means literally between. If you stand between 2 people, you are not on top of one of the people. So you do not get to include that number. If it said inclusive, it's a fancy word, inclusive or including 20 and 30, then it would be or equals. In here, we know that she bought 3 large beads for $2.50, plus she's buying some number of small beads for $1.25. So it's $1.25 times, our case, y. I'm going to keep the 20. I'm going to multiply 3 times 2.5. That gives me 7.5. I'll keep it as in money terms, so 0.50. Subtract 750 from both sides, or all 3 sides, I should say. 20 minus 7.5 is going to be 12.5, less than 1.25y, less than 22.5. When I go to divide all of these by 1.25, just like when we were solving equations, we're doing that because that makes our coefficient of the y variable 1. So I'll have that in there. 12.5 divided by 1.25 is just going to be 10. 22.5 divided by 1.25 is going to be 18. So Cara can buy between 10 and 18 beads. And then I'm going to add in the word exclusively. All that's meaning is excluding 10 and 18, not including 10 and 18. The word between gets kind of confusing for some people, so if we add in this extra word to make sure we're emphasizing that she can buy any number of beads between 10 and 18, but cannot buy 10, can buy 18. Now, in a real life scenario, is she required to stay between 20 and 30, or could she spend $19? Probably, but in this case, it said specifically she wants to stay between $20 and $30. Okay, for this next one, Kelsey has 75 feet of fence to put around her rectangular garden to keep the rabbits out. I'm going to draw a picture. Hopefully that's going to help us. The garden is 15 feet wide. What are the possible lengths? So I'm going to say that the variable L is the length in feet. So when we're talking the perimeter or all the way around the garden, we have to count up all four sides. She can use all 75 feet. Absolutely. She does not have to use all 75 feet if she does not want to. So I could say that L plus 15 plus L plus 15 is less than or equal to 75. So I've got 2L plus 30 is less than or equal to 75. So 2L is less than or equal to 45 divided by 2. Going through this pretty quick, but 45 over 2 is 22.5. That's not my answer. The length of the garden, because that's what the question's asking about, can be no more than 22.5 feet and greater than 0. That last piece kind of came out of nowhere, didn't it? We only had to solve one inequality, but there is an implied and here, meaning I have this value right here. Now if I subtract 30, this would have been a negative 30 right there, but I don't really worry about a negative length of a garden because I can't have a negative length of a garden. So the context tells me it has to be greater than 0, but also less than or equal to 22.5. No more than 22.5 means that it can be 22.5 feet. For the next one, Jeff has been offered either $50 a day or $30 per day plus a commission of $3 for every plant that he sells. How many plants does he need to sell to make the commission offer have the best pay? So how many plants does he need to sell is what we're asking. So I'll say P is the number of plants sold. So $50 or $30 a day plus a commission of $3. So I have $50 or $30 plus $3 per plant. I want to know which one makes the commission offer the best pay, meaning that one has to be the most, meaning I'm going to have that side be greater than the other side. So 50 less than, strictly less than 30 plus 3P. Subtract 30 from both sides. Divide both sides by 3. When I do that, 20 divided by 3 is not going to be a nice number. It's going to be 6.6 repeating if I wanted to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm going to leave it as a fraction. But I know 21 divided by 3 is 7, and I know I can't sell a partial plant. So Jeff needs to sell at least 7 plants to make the commission offer pay better. Now, the one weird part with word problems in inequalities. This says strictly less than, but our answer uses the words at least, which means a less than or a greater than. And then also an or equal to. It depends on the context. So 20 over 3, we have to be strictly greater than that. 7 is strictly greater than 20 over 3. So it fits that criteria. But we also, there would be a little bit of a gap between 7 and 20 divided by 3. But you can't have that partial piece. So that's why I went at least 7 plants. And at least can mean greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, depending on the context. So at least means we are taking P, and at least being this number or bigger. Okay, if I read it the other way around, it'd be a little bit different. So make sure you are reading very, very carefully. At least is more often than not used to talk about a greater than or equal to symbol. All right, so 6 2-foot tall trees were planted when Mr. T was born. If the trees have grown at an average rate of 3/4 of a foot per year, and the trees are currently 24.5 feet tall, how old is Mr. T? When we're talking about age, we're talking about years. So I'm going to say Y is number of years. Okay, this is the number of years since these trees were planted since I was born. I know that they started off as 2-foot tall trees. The fact that there are 6 of them, I do not care about whatsoever. I know that they are currently 24.5 feet tall, and I know that they're growing at 3/4 of a foot per year, so 3/4 times the number of years, and they were 2 feet originally. They are currently 24.5. This is an equal. This is an equation, not an inequality. Okay, I could reword this question and make it an inequality just by changing a few words here and there. But reading carefully, we are specifying right now they are exactly 24.5. Exactly, that's an equal sign. Subtract 2 from both sides. Well, now we get to this fraction, we have a decimal involved also, which is kind of annoying. But this next step should take care of it. Multiply both sides by 4. On the right side, these 4's cancel and you're left with 3y. On the left side, when you take 22.5 times 4, you get 90. Divide both sides by 3, you get y is equal to 30. If that doesn't answer my question, I need to go back and say Mr. T is 30 years old. Okay, now there's a spot for you to talk about what we've learned in this lesson and what things you may have questions with still. Hopefully we're able to get all of this stuff figured out because there's not really anything new for the rest of this chapter. All right, I hope everybody has a great day.